Modern coverage here live. We are down to the finals, just 2 players left. Will it be Adam Pannone or Larry Lee? A less interesting question is what deck will win the GP, because we already know that.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, Titan Shift ×2 here. The Scape Shift, the sort of current version of Scape Shift ×2.
Yeah, and I mean, it's somewhat surprising. I think a lot of people had this deck off of their radar for a little while. The deck's done well in tournaments, throughout Modern's history, basically. But, I don't think people really thought this was the deck to watch for this weekend. And I think one of the things we've really learned about Modern over the course of this weekend is that, these bigger mana decks were really well positioned. There wasn't that much pure combo, and the pure combo that was out there really got eaten alive by the Death Shadow type strategies. So, these decks like Storm, which are just miserable matchups for either Titan Shift or Tron, those decks were all, killed by other things in the field. And the players that were playing Titan Shift or Tron who were able to dodge those really, really focused combo strategies, those people were able to get to the top tables, and when they were playing against people who were playing decks that played, creatures or weren't playing as much, actual cards that could purely counter something like Escape Shift, or purely deal with something like a Primeval Titan, or just kill them fast enough, essentially. That's the major thing you want to do against decks like this, is you want to be faster than them. And this is, a turn 4 combo deck. And here we see 2 copies of it in the finals. It's pretty surprising. And one of the things I like about, Titan Shift is that as far as these big mana decks go, this deck is the better deck against Tron. In the Tron versus Titan Shift matchup, Titan Shift wins that war. So whereas Tron is probably...
by the way.
Yeah, Tron is probably better against control decks than Titan Shift, or it certainly is better against control decks than Titan Shift. And it's also better against decks like, Junder Abzan. But Titan Shift is, a consistent, powerful strategy that is probably better against things like Dredge, or, decks that play a lot of smaller creatures. They can often clean up playing things like Sweltering Suns or Anger of the Gods. This matchup in particular is, it's obviously not going to be the most interesting match in the history of the planet, but something that we need to point out is that Larry, while he's on the draw for the first game, his deck is a little bit faster because he has Prismatic Omen and Colony Heart Expedition, so that will give him a slight edge in that regard. But the play, I think, is more important than that. So even though Larry's list has the Prismatic Omen and the Colony Heart Expedition, which make him a slightly faster version of the combo deck, I don't think it's quite a full turn faster.
Sure.
And as a result,
So
I think he's going to be a dog.
Yes, an underdog. So Adam's the one with the edge here. Also, kind of cool. Adam's actually here with his nephew, and I see his nephew has been playing unstable drafts here all weekend.
It's a sweet format. We had the opportunity to draft some unstable this weekend, didn't we?
We did. We did draft unstable. I am still recovering.
I had a great time. I won, though.
I know you did, too.
My neck also hurts. I had a whole bunch of skull saucers. I had a bunch of ways to blink them. It was really fun, and all weekend while doing commentary, my neck has been killing me.
Yeah, I saw you lift your head up once, though, and still keep it, so I really want a judge call.
Did that really happen? I don't think that happened.
It did
I don't know.
Well, these libraries are good and random here for us, as we are almost ready for our first game in this near mirror match between these 2 Titan Shift players. This, for those of you that haven't seen this type of matchup before, it plays out, we call it goldfishing, right? As if you were playing against nobody, or maybe your pet goldfish. There is very little in the way of interaction between these 2 decks. They just simply, there's no counter spells. They're not messing with each other's hand. They don't even really interact on the board in a meaningful way.
Yeah, something that is important to point out in post-board games here is that Larry Lee has access to Witchbane Orb.
All right, well, we'll get there in a minute.
Yeah,
that is really important.
Yeah, there are some
most
ways.
Important card in all of these.
Yes,
in the 150 we're looking at here. All right, gentlemen, let's get underway here. The world awaits. Yeah, these guys are having they're enjoying their time, but I will literally walk over there and start drawing hands for them if I have to. All right, fine. That was an empty threat. Oh, good.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see if we got some keepers for our two finalists here. Of course, these two have a major accomplishment under their belt already today. They've both qualified for the Pro Tour, and they've both put themselves deep into the money here. The winner of this match is going to receive $10,000 and a trophy.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know what order this comes in on that list. They also get to come over here and talk to me for a minute. Probably just above the $10,000 mark.
I'd say so. I've had more than
Maybe
one person
third
come up to me this
out of
weekend,
three.
and they were like, "You're doing commentary?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You get to work with Marshall?" I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Whoa, what's that like?"
Oh, come on.
I swear that there's at least two of those conversations happened this weekend.
You're just
And
trying to
I was
embarrass
like,
me
"Oh,
now.
it's pretty cool, man." It's like, he like, after we're done working, he like tutors me at basketball.
You're my best student.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Jake went from no basketball virtually at all to darn reasonable player in the course of, a year and a half? That is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Basketball's hard.
Well, if I have a gym that's open really late, it's open after midnight, so after my wife and daughter would go to sleep, I'd just go and I'd play for like hours every single night, like 5 days a week.
That's what I do too.
Yeah, I mean,
Not anymore. Now I travel.
I think it's good for you.
Adam's on, it is. Yeah, Adam's on a mulligan, which of course he's also going to be on the play. So he's down some cards here. What do you make of how punishing mulligans are for this specific archetype?
They're not overwhelmingly punishing, as long as you're able to hit those land drops and have it, and you're able to have that key card once you hit 7 or 8 lands, then you're basically home free. And, mulligans can hurt in a lot of matchups because you also need to find those interactive spells to help you survive to that key turn. But in a matchup like this, those interactive spells are not important at all, especially in game 1. So here, really, people are just looking for ramp spells and scape shift. Primeval Titan, while also a route to victory, is, just a slower win condition, if you will.
Sure. Oh no!
Oh, we're mulliganing to 5 over here. So Larry,
I think Adam told him what he had in his hand too. Just, they're both playing a very similar deck. It's like, oh, I know how that is.
yeah,
Not enough mountains. Oh no!
jeez.
Well, everybody's having a fun time down in the feature match area, regardless. Again, there is a bit of a weight lifted off of your shoulders after you make that. Make the top 8 because you've kind of secured an accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean,
a career accomplishment.
You've top 8 at a GP. You've qualified for the Pro Tour. Like, you get to play on the Pro Tour.
Yeah. I always want to go over there and go, guys, $10,000. Like, you should still,
focus.
Yeah.
Focus.
Because the money, I think, gets a little bit, it's hard to conceptualize when you're there because it's just so absurd to think that you're playing a match of Magic for $2,500 or $5,000 difference, in price. It doesn't really sink in, but I know the players that win these go, dang, $10K, that's pretty good, I'll take that.
Oh, man.
All right,
feels
players
real
are
nice.
ready. Let's head down. It's time for the finals here from Grand Prix, Oklahoma City. Hello and welcome back to coverage here at Grand Prix, Oklahoma City. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Jacob Van Leeuwen. It's the finals. We've got a mirror match on our hands here, Jake. We've got 2 Titan Shift players. Apparently this was a deck to play here in OKC. They both made the finals, the 2 that made it into the top 8 here. A lot of Tron out in the field as well, and including in the top 8. I believe there's 3.
Yeah, it was far and away the most represented deck.
Yeah, so Tron is the real deal, but apparently it doesn't have a great matchup against Titan Shift because we got the mirror here. Now, I'm going to warn you if you're viewing at home, not a lot of interaction here and could go pretty quickly. The players
Most
are going to
certainly.
be able to just sort of enact their game plans uninhibited, and the first one to get to that, big turn with the scape shift or the primeval titan is going to win the game. And it
true.
happens very quickly. So you might want to hang out with Jake and I here and don't go anywhere, because this one could end very quickly. There's Farseek for Adam, who is on the play, but he had mulligan to 5.
Ooh.
And that's going to make things difficult for Adam Pannone.
But again, if he does not have any interactive spells and he's able to cast ramp spells and hit his land drops on every turn until he gets the scape shift mana, then those mulligans will not really affect him that much.
Tick-tock.
It's also interesting to note that in post-border games, if they have access to life gain, that by staying above 18 life, which we see, neither player is doing this game, but by staying above 18 life, you require your opponent to have 1 additional land before they're able to combo kill you.
Effectively a turn or another spell, it's a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Larry, by the way, did not have Farseek. He, in fact, had Explore, which lets him play an extra land. So they're all evened up, although here is Search for Tomorrow from Adam. He's just casting it. So he gets to go grab a basic land and put it onto the battlefield. Does he have anything else this turn? This is kind of, to me, the turn where the mulligan to 5 starts to show, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he has land and another ramp spell, obviously that's ideal.
Pretty perfect.
Yeah.
Instead, he has Lightning Bolt and maybe Escape Shift. Apparently, we found tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right. I was confused as to what was going on. I was like,
Oh, no. So bad. Oh, man. So awful. Oh, no. You earned a round of applause from Hagen on that one.
No encouraging that.
No.
All right, Sweltering Sun's getting cycled here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is really nice. Again, he's not going to find any targets with his Sweltering Suns in the matchup. Oh, boy. Tick-tock. This is starting to look pretty good for Larry Lee here to steal one, but we could be Lightning Bolt you, but it could be something good for Adam. Let's see what he's got this next turn. This is usually a pretty big turn for them. Maybe that's a land, that last card, and he draws a Primeval Titan. That would be perfect. Well, he's got the land part, but nothing else. Passes the turn back to Larry. Larry is going to sacrifice his Secure Tribe Elder to go get magical land number 6, and I got a bad feeling for Adam here. I think these mulligans might have ruined it for him, because Larry is playing quick, and it looks like he's good to go.
if Larry has a land and escape shift here, the game ends, but he does not.
He doesn't, but it does effectively end the game unless Adam can end it on his turn.
Yes.
Right? I mean, Adam's going to have one more window here, and if he doesn't win on that turn, Larry will.
That's absolutely true. I mean, with 3 Valakut's in play and 4 mountains, attacking with a Primeval Titan will put 12 triggers on the stack.
Okay, so 36 damage.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
It's also double Adam's life total, so should be plenty enough.
Yeah.
So this is it. This is a big turn here. I mean, I guess
I'm sorry,
if
it's
Adam,
6 triggers. Yeah. But still, it's still
Adam,
lethal. It's 18 damage.
If Adam goes landscape shift, Larry's at 14.
Yeah, that would be good enough for Adam. He would win the game if he were able to do that. If he has escape shift in hand, he wins.
Oh, he has escape shift.
Yeah, and there you go.
That should do it.
Yeah, and Larry knows the contents of Adam's deck, so Adam can simply sacrifice these 6 lands.
He must have drawn that land. I'm pretty sure I saw escape shift, or a couple of turns ago, like I mentioned. Yeah. He needed to go land, and he just did. 2, 3, 4.
We know he has it.
5, and that's 18. And he does still take game number 1. Wow.
Yeah.
Mulligans to 5 and just has the perfect cards to get to exactly where he needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically a mulligan to 4 because the lightning bolt does absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
right?
it did nothing.
And then, but it didn't matter because Again, he doesn't need interactive spells in a matchup like this, especially in game 1. So going into the post-sideboarded games, things get a little more interesting now. People have some options about how they want to move things around.
It's not hard to get a little more interesting.
Yeah, so Larry Lee gets to bring in Witchbane Orb.
Right, Witchbane Orb.
And Witchbane Orb makes it so that the Valakut triggers cannot target him.
Right, Witchbane Orb is a 4-mana artifact that gives you hexproof. It also knocks all the curses off of you, but that's less relevant here, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it gives you hexproof, so you can't be targeted by Valakut.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. So I'm not sure if that's something that Adam is going to sideboard in artifact removal for, because
Does
Larry
he have
only has 2
access to it?
copies. So Larry Lee, what do you mean?
No, can Adam bring in artifact removal?
Absolutely.
What does he have?
He has Ancient Grudges, he has Beast Withins, he has Reclamation Sages.
Fracturing Gust? Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
has
he's-
a heck of a lot.
He has a
of it.
ton of artifact removal. The thing is that, that artifact removal is just dead if Larry doesn't draw the Witchbane Orb specifically. But there are enough dead cards in Adam's deck in game 1 that he's likely going to be bringing in artifact removal.
Right,
Like,
because the other question that I have here, Jake, is, well, okay, so let's say he decides not to bring it in. Okay? He doesn't bring in the artifact removal.
Larry draws at game ends.
Game's
basically.
over, right? Like,
Well,
if
he can
has
attack him
wi-
with a Primeval Titan.
Yeah, he
That's-
can start beating down with Secure Tribe Elders and Primeval Titans and stuff, but he cannot kill him through the traditional means.
Correct.
Okay. So he
Yeah.
might just need to bring in a couple of grudges or just have it. Maybe the Beast Withins come in.
Well, the Beast Withins definitely come in.
'Cause those are good against
Those are
Valakut.
just Stone Rains.
Yeah.
And we watched earlier in the quarterfinals, we had an issue come up where somebody didn't really understand how Beast Within interacted
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
with
that was really unfortunate.
Valakut. Yeah, and that was it's and this
How
is
does it?
important.
I mean, why don't you explain
So this
it? 'Cause
is
there were some
important for
people
people
watching.
to
Yeah.
to know how it works.
Yeah.
So when you scape shift and you put all those lands into play, all 7 lands come into play, and all of the Valakut triggers will go on the stack right when that happens. However, the Valakut trigger reads, when a mountain enters a battlefield under your control, if you control 5 other mountains, deal 3 damage to target creature or player. So what happens is you choose all your targets, as all those triggers go on the stack, and then when those triggers resolve, they check, do you control 5 other mountains? And if you do not, then those triggers will not deal that 3 damage because of that if word on that card. So it doesn't say if it doesn't say, like,
Yeah, no, I get it. So
what's going
that's
on.
great. And so
So-
that means that if you have, for example, an instant speed way to get rid of that critical 5th other mountain, you'll shut off all of those triggers, and that's what Beast Within does.
precisely.
Okay. And that's actually what would have happened in the quarterfinals.
Yes.
But there was some confusion from the player with Beast Within,
Yeah,
and so he just conceded.
it was explained to him that the triggers had already gone into the stack, and, which is true. But the triggers, as they resolved, would not deal damage, and he did not understand that, and as a result, he lost. And it was very unfortunate, but it's a valuable lesson for the viewers because Scape Shift and Valakut decks in general are something that you're going to play against when you're playing in a modern tournament, and I imagine you're going to be seeing a little more of them now that 2 copies of it are facing off in the finals of this Grand Prix. And it's very important that you know how to most effectively interact with their combo.
Okay. Well, it looks like our players are at least approaching readiness level.
I'm sure you've played him before.
Yeah, back when Team Escapes was a thing, I definitely played it.
Or not.
Yeah, but I think that there is room for innovation in Modern. The deck that I was excited to see win the tournament at the end of the day, a Cryptic Command Blood Moon deck. I feel like a deck like that would have been pretty well positioned here. I think Blood Moon would have been very nice in this top 8. And I do not think that this format is stale just because of the way things shook out in this top 8 in particular. I think the format has the ability to evolve. I think that...
We saw a lot of decks this weekend.
yeah, I mean, the
Maybe
format
not
is
all of the top
super
8,
wide
but
open.
Yeah. No, Modern's still sweet.
Yeah, and Urza lands in general just they feel so wrong. When you're tapping 1 land and you're producing 2 or 3 mana, it is really, really powerful.
Busy with her. Probably had a lot of practice.
But these two guys, they found a way to beat those Urzulans. They're also, making a lot of mana. But instead of just doing powerful thing after powerful thing with it, they have one plan. And that plan is to get Mountains and Valakut into play and kill the opponent.
Some of the chatter going on is pretty funny down between these two. Larry says he's going to use the money to pay for college.
Oh,
So that's good. And I mentioned Adam is here with his nephew. He's actually visiting his brother who lives here in Oklahoma City. And that's his brother. Also, Adam just said that he shuffles marginally better than Dana Fisher. Dana, of course, is the 7-year-old who plays at some GPs. And, she's still learning how to shuffle because her hands aren't quite big enough to handle the
reach around
cards.
the cards.
And Adam says, I'm about there. Still learning. Apparently, Larry also has a top 8 from 2014.
Here?
I don't know.
Oh.
Larry said it. Keep. And we are underway here. Is it going to be Adam Pannone or Larry Lee winning this game here? If it's Adam, GP's over. But we mentioned play versus draw, and Larry Lee gets to be on the play here with a full grip. It's going to be tough for Adam to overcome the advantage that he gets. And I mentioned it before, but these Titan Shift decks have a lot of redundancy built in. They're very single-minded.
Yeah, and Larry's deck actually does have the ability to be a turn faster if he happens to draw a Prismatic Omen.
Yeah.
In particular, that card allows him to go off with only 6 lands in play. I like that Adam has the Relic of Progenitus in his deck post-sideboard. I mean, he recognizes that there are enough dead cards. There are so few cards that matter that just the ability to, cycle through that card is a powerful enough effect. Ooh, that's a nice one.
How about a Colney Heart Expedition? That is the turbo mode when it comes to powering out lands.
Absolutely.
How many of those is Larry running here?
I believe it's 2.
Let's see, where is it? There it is, 2 Colney Heart Expedition. You can see landfall. He's going to put counters on it. When it gets to 3, he can sacrifice it and go get 2 lands with it. So even though he's only invested 2 mana, thanks to fetch lands plus landfall, he actually is going to be able to get 2 lands out of 1 card, which is, well, there's not that many that do that outside of Primeval Titan.
A little unfortunate here for Larry, though.
Oh, he missed a land, didn't he?
Yeah, he explored, did not find the 4th land.
Wow, I think he would have been supremely well set up if he had hit that, though he's still in a reasonable position as Secure Tribe Elder tastes first blood and knocks Larry down to 18.
18 is the magic number, by the way.
And he was going to be there anyway because of the wooded foothills, but still. It's important threshold for Adam to recognize. He's going to crack his Relic of Progenitus, and he'd really like to see a 2-mana ramp spell here.
Yeah, he would.
Kind of getting the feeling that he doesn't have it, though. He doesn't have it.
Yeah, Larry could possibly stay above 18 had he not attacked there if he had had access to a Prismatic Omen.
Okay, there's quest counter number 2 on the Colney Heart Expedition, and thanks to the fetch land, he knows he has that locked up, so there's 2 extra lands.
Yes, I believe Larry Lee will win on the following turn if he has Escape Shift in hand, because I saw a Prismatic Omen in his hand.
Okay.
So it does
He
not...
does have Escape Shift. I saw him draw one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he...
So I think he's wondering if he needs to expose it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing to think about because, Adam could always beast within the Prismatic Omen if he knows about it.
Yeah.
So he may just want to, hold it in his hand, and on the following turn, on Adam's end step, he can sacrifice that fetch land, put the Colony Heart Expedition up to 3 counters, sacrifice it, go to 6 lands, and then on his turn, play the Omen and Escape Shift all at once. And
it's kind of interesting, though, because a Beast Within would be powerful there, or even just a cheaper option. Larry, I'm curious, does Adam have cards like Nature's Claim, for example?
He does not.
Okay. Because, that's the type of card that he could use to actually kill the Colony Heart Expedition. If Larry goes, crack my fetch,
That's absolutely true.
he can snap that off. But
It
he
wouldn't
doesn't
quite
have
work
access to
now,
it.
though, because there's a secure tribe elder also.
That's right. He
So
would have had
Larry
to
could
have done
respond
that.
again.
Yeah, he would have had to have done that prior. But these are the things that, of course, the players are going to have to consider, these small edges, and how can you disrupt what I'm trying to do? And that's, of course, going to be a big key. Well, this looks at least uninterrupted. It looks like Larry Lee's going to pick up game number 2 here.
Yeah, and something that's somewhat important to note here is that now, considering how things have unfolded, Larry does not even need that omen in order to win on the following turn because he has the Tribe Elder, which can put him up to 7 lands. So he would have to attack with the Tribe Elder, getting Adam down to 18, and then he could sacrifice the Tribe Elder, and that would put him up to 7 lands, and then he could sacrifice all of them to Scape Shift. Of course, if Adam puts himself in a situation where he only has 2 lands untapped, then Larry can simply kill him via the Omen combo. So
there's a Valakut for Adam. He's up to that magic 6 number, but here's Larry Lee cracking his wooded foothills. He's going to go get a land, and he says, hey, can I just shortcut this because I got to go get a land for the foothills, and then I got to go get 2 more lands for my Calling Heart Expedition.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just save a second here, and I'll just do it all at once. Mountain. Go find another one.
I'd probably get a forest the last one, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a fetch land, so he can go get a stomping ground or whatever. It's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And he actually has multiple copies. His hand is just completely stacked. He's got Primeval Titan, Scape Shift, and Prismatic Omen.
It's just an embarrassment of riches at this point.
He's got backup plans on backup plans. And this is that critical attack that you outlined last turn, Jake, getting Adam down to 18 from 19, sacrificing the Secure Tribe Elder to get that critical 7th land on the battlefield. And then it's just Scape Shift City, and this one's over.
Yeah, and because Adam only has 2 untapped lands, Larry knows that he does not have to be playing around Beast Within here. Oh, wow. And because he has the Prismatic Omen in play, he is going to be dealing 4 times 7 times 3 damage.
That's a lot of damage.
That's a lot of damage.
That's
I believe
84?
that is 84,
yeah,
yes.
it is. Hello. I guess if you're going to go big, this is like when you play on Magic Online and your whole screen is just filled with triggers. Okay, I can see it.
Oh, so he's not doing it that way because just in case there's an instant speed way to deal with the Omen.
Okay, sure. So 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Of course.
But,
Okay, and that's game number 2 going to Larry Lee. So we're going to get an exciting game 3 conclusion here between the 2 Titan Shift decks. Chad also told me that it was in one of the decks that won Madrid. It was a team thing, but Titan Shift was one of the 3 apparently. So I guess it's just Titan Shift's weekend.
Yeah, Titan Shift is on this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good deck.
Well, this has to favor Adam, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's on the play.
He's on the plate. We haven't seen any key sideboard cards as of yet. The Witchbane Orb hasn't popped up for Larry.
I didn't see any artifact removal out of Adam, though. I mean, I'm sure he brought in the Beast with it for what it's worth. But
Sure.
Yeah, I could have gotten more Valakans to do more damage, but I forgot. I couldn't remember if you had like a nature strike on your sideboard or something. So if I get a bunch of Valakans, you get nature strike.
Yeah, so Larry right now explaining that he could have gone for 4 Valakuts and done the 84 damage play, but he just wasn't 100% sure that Adam didn't have any copies of Nature's Claim or anything like that, because he had looked at his deck list, but it's possible to forget something like that, and he just didn't want to end up throwing away a game in the finals of a Grand Prix just because he forgot about something like a Nature's Claim in somebody's sideboard. But given Adam's deck list, it was absolutely clear that the coast was clear.
Quick double check of the sideboards here for Larry Lee. before he presents his library for randomization. And he's actually going to make a little change here, it looks like.
Yeah.
Perhaps a play versus draw decision, perhaps something that he didn't see from Adam that he thought, maybe you don't have it.
I think with the cards I saw him pull out were relics of Progenitus. So I think something that he may have done was he may have saw that Adam kept the relics in and thought, oh, that's a good idea. That card's probably better than Lightning Bolt.
Sure.
Yeah. Lightning Bolt can get you to 18, but we're going to be taking ourselves down the fetch lens anyway.
They've just been doing it
can
too.
attack.
Yeah, I've noticed that in all of the games, except for this one where Larry did need to make sure he got in that one hit with the Elder, the players have been just fetching, and they're like, whatever, you're going to be at below 18. Like it's worth it to try to be faster,
And that makes sense. I mean, if you can afford to, stay above 18 without slowing yourself down, then it's worthwhile to do so. But if it's going to slow you down by even a single land drop, then it's likely not worth it because, I think a mistake a lot of Magic players make is, especially in Constructed, is they try to play to not lose as opposed to playing with the intention of winning. And, you win by trying to win.
But by going for the victory in
Absolutely.
This matchup,
Yeah, and I mean, you have to, map out how it is I can win this game. So when you're in, an awful game, a game where you're just, surviving by the skin of your teeth, you shouldn't be thinking about, how can I stay alive? You should be thinking, how can I beat this person? And, that's a certain mindset that you can, occupy. And if you do so, it will, drastically improve you as a Magic player.
They're probably just talking about all the people that they beat this weekend.
Yeah. Oh, man, I beat so many people. Me too, man. I beat a ton of people. I've hardly lost at all. Me neither.
I heard Adam talking to somebody on the rail there, and he said, one more, dude, just one more. Mm-hmm. And he's right. This is the last game.
Sure. One more game, Damien.
Of the entire tournament. And there's going to be one more game to decide who's going to win this thing. We already know the deck. That was decided before we even started the finals. It's going to be Titan Shift. Today, Titan Shift has really dominated. Both copies in the top 8 are in the finals. But we still got to choose a winner here.
You can actually beat Affinity and other creature-based aggro decks, but your bolts don't kill any creatures. They just have a lot of protection, and they're so.
So there are other versions of Scape Shift. There's Bring to Light versions of Scape Shift.
Yep.
There are, just teamer versions of the deck. And, considering how much success this deck has had this weekend, I think maybe those decks might actually have a place in Modern right now, too. I'm just in my head getting excited about playing these decks with Cryptic Command in them.
Okay, let's see. At least let our players keep here so we can have something that resembles a fair fight. I understand taking an extra minute here, though. This is a $10,000, $5,000 game of Magic.
Yeah, and I mean, your mulliganing decisions in this game in particular are, it's probably the most important part of the game.
Right.
It is not even probably. It's just absolutely the most important part of this game is going to be your decision right now of whether or not to keep or mulligan.
Right, because you've seen that both players are, I don't want to be too strong with it, but they're kind of autopiloting a little bit, right? They're just going through the motions of getting the lands out. There's nothing they need to think about in terms of, well, what if they have a counterspell? Well, what if they thought seize me next turn? Well, what if they have a haste? There's just no consideration. They
you don't
know
have to think about
exactly what's going on. Yeah. By the way, and this was a mulligan for Adam Pannone, so
yeah, but Adam
buckle up.
Something I've been really impressed by is Adam has not been afraid to mulligan. Even when he has these hands that are 3 land hands with a ramp spell, he's thinking to himself what range of hands does this beat? I need to beat somebody in a straight up race. I need 2 ramp spells. I need 2 ramp spells and at least 2 lands. My 3 land, 1 ramp spell, all Primeval Titan hand is not a keep. And this will not be an opponent who's playing my deck. If I was playing my deck, would I want my opponent to keep this hand? I would. So I'm not going to. And, it's easy to keep those hands when you're playing a game of Magic for $5,000 and to kind of like leave it up to fate. And it's much harder to, make the correct play in that spot and, send it back at the risk of getting a hand that has no lands or that's all lands.
All right, well, let's see if Adam has a keeper here. He's looking at his 6. Yes, he is scrying, so this one could do the job. Remember, he won on 5.
Absolutely, and it's very possible that he does that again because of the nature of the matchup.
Yeah, both of these players are just going to be kind of relying on muscle memory to get him through.
Yeah,
it's been a long tournament, but, they've played these decks the entire time.
And it's important to remember that, the play represents another card in many ways in this matchup because it's a land drop. And as long as you're going to hit your land drops, being on the play is essentially like having another ramp spell in your hand.
All right, Relic of Progenitus here for Adam. Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, the tap land there from Larry, but if he has a green mana source next turn, we'll see, which he does, you can see in his hand there. We'll see Farseeks and that kind of thing starting to come out already.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's an Explore. Does he have the land? Yes. It's a good start.
It is a very good start, and he's going to get to cycle through this relic also.
That's right. So keeping the cards flowing and starting to craft a board state here. Larry's doing what Larry's going to do, which is I'm going to play a 2-mana spell that gets me a land onto the battlefield.
Yeah, which is similar to what Adam did last
Exactly.
turn, interestingly enough.
Right.
Adam does have a Reclamation Sage in hand, so if Larry thinks that he can, get out of the woods via a Witchbane Orb, Adam is prepared to deal with that.
Okay, big draw steps here for Adam.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. Looks like Adam on this mulligan actually has both Reclamation Sages in hand.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
A well-timed
Trying to
Reclamation
turn it
Sage can be a big deal in the matchup, but it's very reactive.
Yeah.
And you just want to be getting lands onto the battlefield. Now, he still gets his land drop per turn as usual, so he's been doing that, but, it's all about powering out more and more. Ooh, here's an Explorer now for Adam.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's got a couple of lands to drop this turn. I think he might.
I think he may also.
That would put him up to 6.
Yeah, and then
Wow, Explorer was a good draw.
most certainly was. He needs to have the Scape Shift too, but all right. Looking real close.
Now, he still has a land drop to give here, does he not? He untapped with 4. He played Explorer.
Are we on top with 4? Okay. Yeah,
Because he had played an Explorer earlier, right?
you're right. So,
So I think he actually still has... Oh, he must not have one.
yeah, doesn't have it.
Okay, well, he did at least get to play the Secure Tribe Elder, so he will have 6.
Yeah, so super tense right now. Like that. This is kind of crazy.
Yeah, this is
It's a game of Magic.
It's
for
weird.
$5,000.
It is, and it's weird because it's like a race,
Yeah,
right?
it
Like
really
it's
is.
just that it's not the normal damage race. It's not about card advantage. It's about lands.
Yeah.
Huh. So interestingly, Adam still has a Wooded Foothills in his hand, but there's a chance I miscounted. But I thought he untapped with 4 and played Explore without having played a land yet, giving him 2 land drops for the turn, right?
I would think.
Maybe he wanted to hold it for some reason. Well, here's Primeval Titan for Larry Lee, so moving right along here.
Yeah. Just going to search for pair of Val cuts, maybe?
Yeah,
Precisely
that's
what
it.
he does.
Tick-tock. Adam is at 19, but Primeval Titan's massive hit of trample damage is plenty enough. And this one is going to be Adam winning now or losing. He's going to pass a turn and then lose.
All right, so Adam now sacrificing the Secure Tribe Elder. Going to find himself the 6th land. So he cannot get Larry down to 18 here. So even if he has the 7th land
And
and
the
Escape
Escape
Shift, he cannot win on this turn. He could, however, kill the Primeval Titan and do 12 to Larry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would assume that that's pretty good.
I would also assume that's great.
Let's see if he has it, though.
Yeah, he needs
Escape
specifically
Shift.
that.
Yeah. We know that 2 of his cards... Actually, we know 3 of his cards. 2 Reclamation Sages and that Wooded Foothills that we were talking about from last turn. What is that, an Explorer?
Looks like a Farseek.
It's a Farseek. That's not going to do it.
Well, if he has Escape Shift,
I think those
Now
last
it's good
2
enough.
cards are the 2 Reclamation
I
Sages,
think you're right.
Wow, I think this one's really fallen apart on Adam.
Yeah.
Remember, he was the one on the play here. He had the advantage. Perhaps the mulligan stumbled him up, or it's just not the best draw, but he has to pass the turn back.
Yeah.
And Larry Lee is poised for victory. Attacks with Primeval Titan. This would knock Adam down to 13. He gets 2 lands, or 2 mountains, and he's got 3 Valakut triggers
Yep. So that's
per.
2 times 9. It's 18.
And that's going to do it. Larry Lee is your Grand Prix Oklahoma City champion
Wow.
with Titan Shift. Congratulations, Larry, and a great run for you two as well, Adam. But that's going to do it for the finals here from Grand Prix Oklahoma City. Welcome back to the booth here at Grand Prix Oklahoma City. That's Jacob Van Loon and I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. And that was Larry Lee taking things down with Titan Shift. Of course, we knew what it was going to be coming in. There was only 1 archetype left in the field, but we didn't know how it was going to play out. And I have to say, Larry was the underdog there. He was the one who was a lower seed and therefore lost the die roll before each round.
Yeah, and I mean, Larry's deck was better set up for that mirror. We saw the power of Colony Heart Expedition in that match. That was, it was on full display. We didn't quite get to see what Prismatic Omen is capable of, but it does very much the same thing. It lets him go off with 6 lands as opposed to needing 7. So Larry's deck was better set up, but he was on the draw, which is a huge disadvantage in that type of mirror match. And yet, he was able to.
And somehow
put
the
it
game
together
that he
and-
lost was the one where Adam mulliganed to 5.
Yeah.
And then when it was a fair fight, or at least close to it, Larry ended up winning both of those. So great stuff. Modern season is upon us, right? The first GP of the new season, or the new year, I should say, is... It involves Modern. It's going to be the team trios, which is going to be constructed with Standard, Modern, and Legacy.
Yeah, I'm excited for that
Welcome
PDQ
to it.
format. I want to play a little bit.
Are you?
Yeah, I've been recruited.
Yeah. Oh, you have? Wait.
By a few different squads.
Can you tell us who you're? Do I know? Oh, you don't want to. You don't want to let it
I
out.
don't know if I
Okay.
wanna I'll tell you after.
All right. For some reason, Larry's still sitting there in the feature match area, even though I really want to talk to him and ask him what it feels like to have to get that trophy. Oh, look, Rich is my minion has appeared.
Yeah, I mean,
to grab Larry.
We can talk about where Modern's at though, because we have a Modern
Okay,
PT
you
coming
go
up, right?
until he gets here. Go.
Okay, so right now where we're at with Modern, after this top 8, we know that Tron is the real deal. We know that Big Mana is really powerful. So if you want to beat those decks, you're going to need Blood Moons, you're going to need Spreading Seas, you're going to need Land Destruction, and you're going to need just powerful hard counters, especially post-board. And you can beat these decks if you want to, and you want to beat these decks. These are not the decks that you forget about when you're building your sideboard anymore. This is what you need to be beating if you're going to be playing in the Pro Tour in early February, or if you're playing in any of these team GPs or team events in the coming months.
All right. Thanks, Jake. Great stuff. Why don't we bring Larry in here? I'm going to mute you. Jake, thanks so much for your commentary. And we'll bring Larry in. Here, put this on for me, Larry. And there we go. Larry, congratulations.
Thank you,
You
thank
are
you.
a champion. Let's get this trophy in the shop. People like to see it. Look at that beauty right there. Dude, you just played one game of Magic for like $5,000. What's going through your head right now?
I don't know. I'm just. I guess I'm still a little lost.
Yeah, I saw your reaction when you won. You kind of went back like, "Oh my God, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
believe I won." How did you feel coming in? You were the lower seed, so you were going to be on the draw for the match. Did you feel like you had a good chance?
Well, I've been losing die rolls all day in the Swiss. I try not to keep track of that kind of thing because it really doesn't matter. But yeah, in the end, it's still Magic, even if you're on the draw every single time.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny how it played out. The game you lost was the one where he mulliganed to 5.
Right.
And then you win the other 2. That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. His Multi 5 was really good.
It was really
Yeah.
good. He just sort of like went, and then he needed, of course, the land. He had Escape Shift in that first game. Why did you pick Titan Shift for this tournament?
Honestly, I wasn't even going to play the deck before coming into the tournament.
Crazy.
I told a couple of my friends that if I owned Grixis Death Shadow, I would have played that instead. But I've played Escape Shift forever now. I played it back when it was 3 colors with blue, right when when Dig Through Time was not banned. That was great in the deck.
Yeah.
And I played in an RPTQ 2 weeks ago with the same deck, so I have a lot of experience with the deck. So that's ultimately why I decided to play it.
It looks like you made the right choice because you sat down in the finals across from somebody else also playing a very similar build to yours, though yours was a little bit faster. You were rocking the Prismatic Omens and that kind of thing. What made you do that?
I think game 1, you just want to be as streamlined as possible, as fast, right?
Yep.
I have the bare minimum interaction with the 3 lightning bolts and the 2 sweltering suns, but other than that, I'm just I leave the sideboard cards for the sideboard.
Yeah, that's smart. The Pro Tour.
Yeah.
You just qualified for the Pro Tour. Have
Yes.
you played on the PT before? You have a top 8 on your resume?
Yes, I've played in one Pro Tour DC in like 2015.
Okay, so you're pretty stoked to get back on
Yeah,
the PT?
yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, you know what? Congratulations, Larry. You are our champion here. Hang out with me for just a second here because, well, we got to say goodbye to everybody at home. It's going to do it for this weekend here from Oklahoma City. Thank you so much for hanging out to us. Of course, we want to say thank you to everybody that helps make these tournaments possible. That's the judges, the staff. It's really important to help keep things going here. Cascade Games, who put this event on, and for all the great years that we've been having tournaments put on by Cascade Games. Thank you so much to that, Tim, and the crew over there. Of course, thank you to you for hanging out with us. It wouldn't be the same. So, for everybody here from Oklahoma City, Larry Lee, our champion, for Jacob Van Lunen, for Ben Seck, I'm Marshall Sutcliffe saying we'll see you next weekend from New Jersey.